let's end on this one, Larry. This game right here against the Jacksonville Jaguars is a litmus test game, in my opinion. I think it's interesting because the 49ers start out 5-0. They lose three straight, and then the 49ers have a bye. And as fans, we have got to sit on those three losses, much like the team does. And it's like, God, now we go into a bye week. We can't even try to get a win and get back on track. Well, now you're playing the Jaguars. And if this game goes well, then you're looking at a Jaguars and saying, well, that was a good team. That was a hot team, the hottest team in the NFL. 49ers are fine. They're back on track. But if they lose, then what's the feeling around this team? I mean, I'm sure some people are going to remain positive, but it's going to be tough. So, do you think that this win right now is about as must win as it gets for an early November game, in your opinion?
No doubt. There's no doubt. No doubt. Because, I mean, look at the rest of the schedule. You got to, I mean, now that Baltimore looks like a world beater, that I almost have that down as a loss.
I do too. Against the NFC, Lamar's like 18-1 against the NFC. Like NFC teams don't play him often enough to have a beat on him. He's almost perfect against the NFC.
And they are an elite running football team. And they just discovered a guy that I think is going to be their best back in Keaton Mitchell. So, I think that's going to be a very, very. I mean, they're going to ruin our Christmas with a game, and is it Christmas? It's
Christmas
night.
Day. It's Christmas night. Yeah. And my son's a Ravens fan too. So he's going to rub that one in if they lose the Ravens.
See, I'm planning on being there. So I mean, it's like I'm going to be away from my family watching destruction and devastation, I think. So that one bothers me. I think this is absolutely got to have it game. You got, I think the Niners are going to sweep Seattle, but still, Seattle in Seattle on Thanksgiving is no picnic. Everybody knows how hard that Philly game is going to be. You still got to play, the Rams again and the Cardinals again. Those are the division games are never easy. And I think if you lose this game, you start to question yourself mightily. And then that next game against Tampa could be really, really, I think they're going to be, I think the Niners are probably going to win this game, but this is going to be a very difficult game to win. It is because Jacksonville is rolling. Trevor Lawrence has enough weapons and enough speed to either throw it over the Niners' head or run them off and throw underneath. That's what they did against Pittsburgh. They just kept going underneath to Evan Engram and underneath to their receivers and all these little stop routes, and he's getting the ball out quick. So, and then the Niners, this is another one of those games where the 49ers have to get their kind of game. If they lead, they can win this game by 10 to 14 points, but if they get a lead, but if they fall behind, this Jacksonville team is really not the team you want to fall behind to. Josh Allen is a star. Trayvon Walker was the first pick in the draft for a reason. Foye Oluokun is just a tackling machine.
Yeah. He's led the NFL like 2 years in a row in tackles and is on pace to do it again.
Lloyd's amazing. Those two combined for 20 tackles, 16 solo.
Secondary is good too,
Pittsburgh. Man. Who's that?
Their secondary is good too.
Yeah, I mean Darius, is it Williams, the former Ram?
Yep,
he's good. Trey Herndon dropped a pick last week, but he's solid. So yeah, I mean Jacksonville is not the team that you want to dig a hole against. But I think the 49ers are going to be up to it. I know they'll fire a lot more energy, a lot more effort. Jacksonville has won 5 in a row, and they're feeling really, really good about themselves. How does that manifest itself in this game? Do they come in overconfident, or do they come in, feeling great about, what they are, and that makes them even better than they are? I don't know. They're a young team with a lot of talent. They got a lot of speed. I mean, Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Evan Engram, and Etienne. Those are really, really speedy group of weapons. I think the 49er defensive line should dominate that will be the biggest thing for me, is if the 49er defensive line does not dominate this Jacksonville line, that will be a bad sign. That'll be a really bad sign.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that there's a lot of bad narratives that come out of this game if they don't win it. The 49ers still have a chance at the number 1 seed, Larry. We talked about how crucial that is right now. If they don't get the number 1 seed, they're essentially going to have to go 12 straight playoff atmosphere style games, which is, we just saw them wear out after 7 games. They're likely going to wear out before or during that NFC championship if that is the case. I don't like their odds there. Getting the number 1 seed, though, changes everything. And in order to get the number 1 seed or have a shot at it, in my opinion, they're going to have to go 7-2 down the stretch and beat Philadelphia. If either one of those things don't happen, let's say they go 7-2, but they lose to Philly, or they go 6-3 and beat Philly, I don't think they get the number 1 seed. And that's not even including Detroit, who might come in through the back door and sneak into the number 1 seed, even though they're maybe the 4th best team in the NFC because their schedule is so easy. So the 49ers have to do everything they can to put themselves in a position to get the number 1 seed. If they lose this week, I wouldn't feel great about that at all.
This is going to be the tough one to get because the Niners are questioning themselves. They're on the road. Jacksonville's not only won 5 in a row, they have led throughout all 5 games. 49ers have not gotten a lead, I don't believe, for more than a minute or 2 in any of these 3 games they've played.
Well, and Jacksonville now has 3 straight weeks of film on how to beat the 49ers.
Right. And if the Niners can't stop Jerome Ford, why are they going to stop Travis Etienne? Right?
Good point.
But if the Niners can get this win, I think next week's easier. I think they'll beat Seattle in Seattle. I think the Niners are going – the one game I feel good about this year is I feel like if the 49ers can get some momentum going in the next 3 weeks, I think they're going to beat Philly and Philly. I think the Niners, that's going to be their Super Bowl. That's going to be their payback. They've been talking a lot of smack. I think that's the game. If they can right the ship, I think that's the game that the Niners are going to win that people think is a loss. The one that worries me is Baltimore on Christmas and this one right here. If they can get this game against Jacksonville, then would you say 7-2?
Yeah.
I think they could go and win 5 in a row if they could get this game against Jacksonville going into that Arizona game, which, the division games are hard to predict. But I think this is going to be the one they got to have. A lot of people don't think this is a must win. I kind of do because, the way the NFL works is that it's like if they win this game, it's like, okay, they're back on the beam, especially if they play well. If they lose this game after moving Wilkes down, having the bye, all those things, it's like then the whole year looks like it's going down the toilet. So
that's just it.
4 losses in a row. I mean, that would be crushing.
Right now, coming off of 3 straight losses, and if you add a 4th, you can't look at that schedule and confidently, even teams like Tampa, and say, "Oh, they're for sure going to win that game." How? Right. They are losing to teams that they shouldn't lose to, so they definitely need to win this game. And yes, it's not a must win in the sense that they won't make the playoffs or can't win their division, but it is a must win in the sense if they want the number 1 seed. This might you might be able to kiss their hopes goodbye if they lose this one. It wouldn't be great. They do need this win. It is a must, as much of a must win as it could be at this point in the season.